And now they turned their eyes towards the archway and the ruined gates. There they saw close behind them a great rubble heap, and suddenly they were aware of two small figures lying on it at their ease, grey-clad, hardly to be seen among the stones. There were bottles and bowls and platters laid beside them, as if they had just eaten well, and now rested from their labour. One seemed asleep. The other, with crossed legs and arms behind his head, leaned back against a broken rock and sent from his mouth long wisps of little rings of thin blue smoke. For a moment, Theoden and Eomer and all his men stared at them in wonder. Amid all the wreck of Isengard, this seemed to be the strangest sight. But before the king could speak, the small, smoke-breathing figure became suddenly aware of them, as they sat there silent on the edge of the mist. He sprang to his feet. A young man he looked, or like one, though not much more than half a man in height. His head of brown curling hair was uncovered, but he was clad in a travel-stained cloak of the same hue and shape as the companions of Gandalf had worn when they rode to Edoras. He bowed very low, putting his hand upon his breast. Then, seeming not to observe the wizard and his friends, he turned to Eomer and the king.
"Welcome, my lords, to Isengard,"
he said.
"We're the door wardens. Meriadoc, son of Saradoc, is my name, and my companion who, alas, is overcome with weariness."
Here he gave the other a dig with his foot.
"Is Peregrine, son of Paladin of the House of Tuke. Far in the north is our home. The Lord Saruman is within, but at the moment he is closeted with one Worm-tongue, or doubtless he would be here to welcome such honorable guests."
"Doubtless he would," laughed Gandalf. "And was it Saruman that ordered you to guard his damaged doors and watch for the arrival of guests when your attention could be spared from plate and bottle?"
"No, good sir, the matter escaped him,"
answered Merry gravely.
"He has been much occupied. Our orders came from Treebeard, who has taken over the management of Isengard. He commanded me to welcome the lords of Rohan with fitting words, and I've done my best."
"And what about your companions? What about Legolas and me?"
cried Gimli, unable to contain himself longer.
"You rascals! You woolly-footed and wool-pated truants! A fine hunt you've led us! 200 leagues through fen and forest, battle and death to rescue you! And here we find you feasting and idling and smoking! Smoking! Where did you come by the weed, you villains? Hammer and tongs, I am so torn between rage and joy that if I do not burst, it will be a marvel!"
"You speak for me, Gimli,
laughed Legolas.
though I would sooner learn how they came by the wine. One thing you've not found in your hunting, and that's brighter wits,"
said Pippin, opening an eye.
"Here you find us, sitting on a field of victory amid the plunder of armies, and you wonder how we came by a few well-earned comforts."
"Well earned?"
said Gimli.
"I cannot believe that!"
The riders laughed.
"It cannot be doubted that we witnessed the meeting of dear friends,"
said Theoden.
"So these are the lost ones of your company, Gandalf. The days are fated to be filled with marvels. Already I have seen many since I left my house, and now here before my eyes stand yet another of the folk of legend. Are these not the halflings that some among us call the Holbitlan?" "Hobbits, if you please, lord,"
said Pippin.
"Hobbits?"
said Theoden.
"Your tongue is strangely changed, but the name sounds not unfitting, sir. Hobbits. No report that I have heard does justice to the truth."
Merry bowed, and Pippin got up and bowed low.
"You are gracious, lord, or I hope that I may so take your words,"
he said.
"And here is another marvel. I have wandered in many lands and left my home, and never till now have I found people who knew any story concerning hobbits." "My people came out of the north long ago,"
said Theoden.
"but I will not deceive you. We know no tales about hobbits. All that is said among us is that far away, over many hills and rivers, live the halfling folk that dwell in holes and sand dunes. But there are no legends of their deeds, for it is said that they do little and avoid the sight of men, being able to vanish in a twinkling, and they can change their voices to resemble the piping of birds. But it seems that more could be said." "It could indeed, lord,"
said Merry.
"For one thing," said Theoden, "I had not heard that they spouted smoke from their mouths." "That's not surprising," answered Merry, "for it is an art which we have not practiced for more than a few generations. It was Tobold Hornblower, the Longbottom in the South Farthing, who first grew the true pipeweed in his gardens, about the year 1070, according to our reckoning. How old Toby came by the plant...
You do not know your danger, Theoden,
interrupted Gandalf.
These hobbits will sit on the edge of ruin and discuss the pleasures of the table or the small doings of their fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers and remoter cousins to the 9th degree if you encourage them with undue patience. Some other time would be more fitting for a history of smoking.